There are a lot of organizations here that want you arrested for destroying children.
Oh, they'd have to find us first.
You're right. Now!
Terrence and Philip, Mothers Against Canada is placing you under citizen's arrest.
Mom? Dude, what the hell's going on?
We have a court order for your arrest.
Philip, we've been ambushed.
Here you go, Conan.
This little scrotum sucker deceived us. You are a bad man.
Don't listen to them, Conan.
You loved our movie, Conan. We watched it together, remember? You laughed.
What have I done?
Hello, listening people.
Hello.
Hello, Bartek. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well, Ryan. How are you doing?
I will be doing excellent if you respect my authority, please.
Your authorita?
My authority? Okay.
Wait, you're doing something.
Yeah, what am I doing?
What are you doing?
Yes,
I don't know what you're doing.
Yes, everyone, we are referencing Basketball, the greatest film of all time. We're not talking about Basketball today. We're talking about...
Oh, I thought we were. Derp.
No, Derp, yep, indeed.
That's what that's from, right?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. We all remember the great film Basketball. But no, today on Basketball Presents, we're talking about other things because we're doing Basketball Powwow, where we talk about movies that come recommended, often basketball. But today we're talking about a film that was recommended by Bartek. You went brave and didn't choose Basketball, which I was very shocked.
Why did I
do that?
Why did I recommend anything in the first place?
Well, you know, sometimes we may recommend the special features from the Basketball DVD. But
are you trying to tell me that? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're trying to tell me that on this show, Basketball Powwow, we pick a movie, whether it comes from myself, you, or the listening people, and then do a full, podcast episode reviewing that film. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, that and Basketball is worth a discussion at one point.
I have a DVD copy of it.
Who doesn't?
Exactly.
We
I haven't
all
watched
love
it though.
You haven't watched the film or the DVD?
Either.
But we're the Basketball podcast.
I know, it's very ironic.
It's actually been...
We love ironic humor.
It's 10 years of me explaining it to you. And I've gone scene by scene every episode. Like, one scene is covered in an episode. And it just
so happens that all 400 and something films that we've covered so far have all had the same plot as Basketball.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, what a coincidence.
I often see similarities between Last of the Mohicans and Basketball. Very similar films. Did you know that both are films? But you did recommend something shockingly not Basketball. What was the film that you said that we should watch and talk about today?
We sound so judgmental.
Yeah.
I recommended a 90s film because this is the year of the old movies.
Yeah. Oh, you son of a bitch. Yeah, it's not as old as as other films are, but yeah, it's younger than Basketball.
Yeah, not as old as Cannibal the Musical. I've recommended South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut from the year Looks at Phone. I think it was like 99.
Yeah, 99.
Yes.
How could you forget? But yes, everyone, we're talking about the film that came off of the successful television series South Park. This was supposed to be the curtain close for them. They were supposed to okay, we're done. And then it was a mega success, and here we are to this day with South Park. As we record, South Park has just come back. It's back with a new series, and it's doing commentary on the Trump stuff again. Yeah.
Even before it came back, it was in the news the past couple of weeks for a whole bunch of things.
For being South Park and being
streaming service
dramas and being bought for this much money and this all this nonsense stuff. But everyone, please make sure to watch this film because we're going to get into details of it. The summary of this movie is it's also a musical story about how these Canadian huckster terrorists, these evil Canadian monsters, Terrence and Philip, have corrupted the youth by making a comedy film that involves a lot of farts and lowbrow humor and swearing. And then, the mothers of America get all mad about this, and we wage war on Canada, and our children, our leads, have to try and save the day while also not really giving a shit. But there's also a subplot about Satan and Saddam Hussein. So everyone, make sure to
You're really judgmental about the Canadians in all
give
of that.
this a watch. Well, I'm on the correct side.
Yeah.
Of the debate.
You're on everyone's side except the Canadians.
Yeah, well, they know what they did. They
Yeah.
know what they did, Terrence and Phillip.
They own Terrence and Phillip.
They did Terrence and Phillip with that shitty animation. It just looks awful in a movie. Come on. But you were the one that selected this, so tell us a bit about your history and why you wanted to talk about this.
Sure. So I really love the film Cannibal the Musical. You'll know this if you've checked out the first episode of Pictures Powwow. We did Cannibal the Musical on that.
Pictures Powwow? I'm not familiar with that.
Sorry,
show.
I was on Google Images yesterday looking at pictures, and it just got stuck in my head.
Yes.
The word pictures. I on the first episode of Basketball Powwow.
Thank you.
We didn't cover basketball yet. We covered a film that they made first called Cannibal the Musical, and I think it was 1993, which was a musical loosely based on the story of Alfred Packer, who was a person that was executed for cannibalism. And they made, a whole funny little musical about it. And I was a big fan of that movie. I checked it out before I got into South Park. This is, earlier last decade in the 2010s.
So you did not grow up with their stuff?
No, I'd seen the Scientology episode, but I didn't watch the show itself. I think I remember hearing one of my parents, say something demeaning about it, like, oh, it's dumb, don't forget about it. And I just was like, oh, I guess it's dumb, I'll forget about it, even though I like that Scientology episode.
Well, I don't know why, just the voice that you used, I imagine they said, they gave you a light smack on the cheek and said, it's dumb, forget about it, then put like a some money and like some a $5 note in your top pocket, and then just rubbed your chest and
my
walked
parents
away.
are both mafia godfathers.
I've never seen them not be always busy with something. Mafia godfathers are busy.
Yeah, even at weddings.
Yeah, and your
people come to them on the day of their daughter's weddings to do things. But yeah, I loved Cannibal the Musical, but was not a South Park fan. And then early uni, around 2013, I checked out a couple of episodes with some friends, and I kind of gravitated towards it, and I kind of went all in, watching the show all the way through. And I specifically watched the movie at the point where the movie's release date lined up with like the release dates of episodes, which was like somewhere in the middle of season 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though, it was over a decade and a half since the movie had been released, and, modern day South Park is all different, and, people might look back on it as like, oh, this kind of looks old. I still kind of replicated the thing of like suddenly jumping from, first 3 seasons quality South Park to like the movie. And it was just this really cool jump where, wow, it's like a longer episode, bigger, longer, and, they're swearing. They're not censored. It was, just this huge jump. And it had that musical quality from Cannibal the Musical that I really loved. So it was just a really, really good time for me. And I've always been really fond of the film since then.
I grew up with South Park. My parents are cool when it came to watching these certain things that maybe I was too young to watch. Crank Yankers, South Park. Those were things I watched at a young age, Drawn Together. These were things I watched. Probably shouldn't have been, but I was, and they would not care too much. I had South Park merch. Like I had a dead Kenny hat. I had a Kenny with like his eye hanging out and like a vulture eating it on a hat. And my primary school didn't like me wearing that. I had a t-shirt of Stan on the front, and then on the back it's him vomiting.
I remember in the Snow Day episode, someone had that shirt, and you were like, I had that shirt growing up.
I did. I had that shirt. And, I like South Park. It was great stuff. But over the years, I just kind of waned and dropped off of it because, and not to sound dismissive, but I grew up. Like, its style of humor did evolve. I can recognize that. But when I was a teen and, like, I've been watching it for so long, I'm like, whatever. And I don't know. Like, I liked it. I was always entertained, but I didn't love it as much as, say, Futurama or The Simpsons. It lived in the same area, and again, not to be dismissive or derogatory, but it lived in the same area as like Family Guy, where it's like I watched it a whole bunch. There's so many episodes and beats I like of it's crude and rude and over the top, but after a certain point, I was like, got it. that's enough of that now. I've watched it. And over the years, like with both shows, I've watched them occasionally. But with South Park movie, yeah, I saw that at a young age, and it was that thing of like, wow, this is a movie, and there's swearing, and Terrence and Philip are like actually in it, because they were always like a little recurring background gag, but now they're like
they were the
central.
itchy and scratchy.
They were central to the story, and I love the Canadians. I think I love their design.
It's probably my favorite thing in the whole franchise, the Canadians.
I think one of my favorite top episodes is a later episode, but the Canadian royal wedding episode is right up top. That's like right up there. It's like a great episode.
They dip their hands in the butter or whatever.
Marmalade or something, and
as is tradition.
Maple syrup, as is tradition. I love all of that, but the movie I've watched many times over. But man, I cannot recall the last time I've seen this. It's just been so long. And one of the things I just want to say up front that really took me aback was over the years I've become more of a fan of their overt musical work, like your Book of Mormon or even Team America, which, I love Team America. That's my favorite thing they've done. And Team America is a different type of musical, but it is still a very musical-based movie. It's a different type of musical than Book of Mormon or this, where it's like a lot more of those are like the characters are singing through a narrative, and the songs in Team America are different beasts in that way. Like they still push stuff forward, but also some of them are just like, we have a comedy song and we're in a movie, so let's just play the comedy song about how I'm going to bitch about Pearl Harbor sucking. It's like, okay. Or freedom costs $1.05. All right, we're going to bring that one and put it in here. Okay. But I've really loved those works. So to come back to this movie and just be like, oh, and we did Cannibal the Musical, I was really taken back about how this one is the one out of all of them that feels and sounds the most like, oh, this is where Book of Mormon came from. A lot of the songs in this, musically speaking, reminded me of Book of Mormon's stuff. Not saying like, oh, I don't have a good enough ear for this. It's not like I can play them side by side and say, see, this is the same song. There's just a certain characteristic that's like, oh, I see the line between the two connecting.
Yeah, I've looked into some trivia of the songs in this film. I don't know how accurate the source is. It's mainly on the South Park wiki, like the wiki pages for the songs themselves. And it talks about how a lot of the songs are inspired by like specific musical sequences from other movies or plays. Like the opening song from this film is based on the opening song from Beauty and the Beast. And when you watch them side by side, it's like, okay, yeah, they're actually kind of establishing the same things, like what the rest of the movie's going to be about, country town.
The characters.
What the characters are, you're introducing like villainous elements here and there, even though it's still an upbeat song. You've got the villain song, which is kind of based on like Ursula's song. So it's, drawing from a lot of inspiration. And I remember, rewatching the film for the first time, which would have probably not been that much long after the first time, seeing how a lot of things are established or at least foreshadowed from the very beginning. It was like, oh, wow, this is really tightly written.
Or even, was his character named Gregory?
Yeah.
When he has his singing voice, that's like a Broadway legend who did like the Phantom and Phantom of the Opera, and his song feels so different to everything else. That's probably the most like, this is a Broadway musical song.
Yeah, that's
like,
the Les Miserables, like reprise
that's Les
song.
Mis. Yeah, that's the Phantom. Like that's that type of like, we got to give the proper oomph here, and you can tell that they're fans of musicals, even if you maybe haven't seen Cannibal the Musical. Because I think, let's be real, most people who saw South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut were teen boys who had probably never seen Cannibal the Musical.
Yeah, it's unusual that I started with Cannibal the Musical.
Yes, but if you aren't aware of their musical background, this does put it at the forefront of your mind, and it does give a greater appreciation of what their career would turn into later, where, look, I kind of bemoan the fact that South Park still exists. Like, I'm not saying that it's bad, and not saying there's bad moments of it, but it does feel like, why are you still doing it? Like, it's that thing with Simpsons as well. It's like, it's just never going to end. It's just one of those. But unlike with the team of the Simpsons, where it's like, they don't really have other big creative endeavors that really like show you that they still have a creative voice in them as much. Trey and Matt do with stuff like Book of Mormon or Team America or the video games of South Park or any of these other projects. Like, they still have the juice in them to do stuff, and the musical side is very much like the thing that they've leaned into over the years and shown off, like, hey, we can do a big Broadway musical. It's going to be about the Mormons, and it's like legitimate.
Yeah.
It's not one where it's like, oh, isn't that kind of funny? Like, Book of Mormon is held as like one of the best stage musicals with no sense of like tee-hee irony. Aren't we being so outsider art? Oh, aren't we being clever? No, it's just, it's up there.
Yeah. No, every time they like tackle musicals in some way, mostly Trey Parker, I think, is the musical one there. It's always just something that stands out for me. Like in the show itself, like they have songs every now and then. They're always a lot of fun. I remember, again, I mentioned before I was looking on the wiki, the pages for all the songs, and one of them is, Carl's Mum is a Big Bitch. That they had a version of that song in the show itself. So in the category at the bottom of the page, it had, like a box of like all these songs. I'm like, oh yeah, these must be all the huge box of songs. These must be all of the songs from the whole show. And it was like songs from season 1. I'm like, oh God. There were that many that early, huh?
Yes. So what was it like to come back to this movie? And have you been keeping up with South Park recently?
Relatively, I've been keeping up with South Park. Yeah, they didn't have a season last year, I don't think. I think they were only doing streaming service specials. For the past, since I got into it, I was keeping up with things as they were coming out that year. But last year, I didn't have access to Paramount Plus or wherever it was on, so I haven't seen that stuff yet. And I haven't seen the stuff that started recently. But other than that, I have been keeping up. I hold a lot of reverence for the early season stuff. I think you do too.
Oh, yeah.
The topical stuff's very good. They have a lot of great commentary, and if you keep up with the news, it's great stuff. But like, there is just an element from that beginning part that I really gravitate towards. I think it's because when I started the show, I read what the basic idea of it was. It was that, they have this whole thing in society where, kids are pure. You have to, they're wholesome, things like that, whereas South Park came along and said, they're really not. They can be like little monsters in some ways and be immature. And this was a show that reveled in that. And I really saw that in those first few seasons, discovering it as an adult, essentially. And the movie exists in that time frame where, the child stuff is very much front and center. And the plot of this film lives and breathes in that, because it's all about, parents blaming other people for, their mistakes, or trying to grasp onto other reasons why their children are the way they are, even when the answer is just so simple there.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm in the same place with it. I think the movie captures well that they are children, and I think the show lost that a little bit, or it became more interested in the adult characters.
Yes.
Stan's dad, barely in the film.
Oh yeah, none of the dads have any dialogue. They only sing in some songs.
I thought he said something in the crowd, but maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe
I thought he asked a question of something, and then
maybe.
But that's the thing. Like, Stan's dad is...
It's mum-centered in this film.
Yeah, but
Mums against Canada.
But even then, it's still about the children. Like, they're the funny ones. Like, the mums aren't particularly funny outside of Cartman's mum's pretty funny. Her whole deal.
Mm-hmm. Continuation of Cannibal the Musical's Leanne thing.
Kyle's mum is pretty good, but it's more, she's played pretty straight for what she's doing. Like, it's heightened, but like she's played a more straight-laced, and then Stan's mum exists.
Yeah, well, I mean, but still, that opening song, the things that we are being introduced mainly are the kids and their mums, and the dynamic that they have with their mums.
Very much.
So right from the beginning, it's telling you, like, hey, this is important, and it's, for some of them, that's their arc of the film.
Oh, yes, indeed. I enjoyed the film. I liked it. I guess this is something that they themselves as creators have dealt with in South Park and in their work of being subversive and being confrontational and in your face. It can age in weird ways. Like, I know there's a lot of talk now of like, oh, media from the past, you can't watch it, or, they'll get cancelled, or like, oh, this, that. But then there's also what this falls into, which is, oh, it's so quaint. This felt so quaint. Even like the commentary that they were making, but that's not this film's fault. It's like, it shows us how things have changed in lots of ways, but also how things haven't changed in lots of ways. Like, you can still do the pitch of this movie, but would it be presented in the way it is? Probably not. Like, just the emphasis on certain things would be different than the way it is. Like, this is simply like, oh, mum, that kind of reaction to, the mothers in America type thing, enforcing censorship now. Nowadays, it would be like, oh, the woke stuff would, that kind of thing. But it's all similar things for just different ways of being talked about. But no, I thought like that was the big thing that I walked away from the movie was I enjoyed it. I found it entertaining, but that kind of the reputation of what it was, and like this was, biting stuff, and this was hard-hitting stuff. It was rip-roaring and outrageous and oh so much. It doesn't really have that nowadays. And I don't think that's a negative. That's just like an interesting fact of like this movie is talking about the thing, and now it has been outgrown by society of like now society has progressed beyond what this is kind of poking at a lot.
A lot of things have grown up, whether it's the creators or the topics in the show. I was reading that obviously this film came out after Columbine. Where huge thing in the fallout of Columbine was, pointing fingers at like, what was to blame. Like we learned about the perpetrators of the shooting and that they were into this kind of music, this kind of thing. And South Park has very often been a thing people point to for like, oh, that's corrupting the youth. My Godfather parents, being, I guess, a minor example. So it was interesting that the story of this film, you could even say that it kind of relates to the show's reputation in real life.
Oh yeah, there's a meta quality to this. I did laugh a lot. I still got a good amount of chuckles. It's so, I don't know what it is. There's dated things of like celebrity pop culture references that like nowadays I'm like, I don't know who they're talking about, what they're talking about. But then there are ones where it's like, nah, this is still great. Like, I think my favorite celebrity random thing was Winona Ryder coming in, and she's just like, oh my lord, what? Like, just, like, it's really bad, guys. And then her ping pong stuff was very funny.
She hit them all, right?
She hit them all. Just like this shocked look on all their faces was wonderful. There's little things like that, but what was some of your takeaways or reactions to seeing this all over again?
I think it was just really good to just revisit it. I had a lot of fun with the songs. There was like one or two that I'd forgotten about, like the Hell one and Saddam's song.
How could you forget?
I don't know why that one it completely left my mind. So when it happened, I'm like, oh, this is great. I like this. Yeah, it was coming back to me. And yeah, just a lot of very funny irony stuff. Like obviously Satan is one of the characters in the film, is technically one of the main antagonists, but they're also like one of the sweetest characters in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even like the trivia point about how his song is the only one that has like no profanity.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's good. Was this the first time he had appeared, or was he in the show already? I
can't remember. It might be.
I thought this may have been, but
I could be wrong.
I'm not an expert.
Could be wrong.
Everyone, I haven't gone back and rewatched the original run of things in a very long time. There was a great amount of stuff. Is Cartman still funny to you? That's like I just have to ask that because I know Cartman is like kind of like the poster child of the show overall. Like he, out of all of the children characters, is probably the most recognized, synonymous with South Park, and like everyone knows Cartman.
Yeah, the really chaotic one.
Yeah, is he still good for you? Like, did you like Cartman? Was he a character you enjoyed?
Yeah, I like Cartman well enough. I think the voice in the earlier seasons and this movie's funnier. In these days, it's kind of just more of a normal voice. Kind of synonymous with the rest of the kids. Just with some odd pronunciations, like still got a bit of the authoritative thing going on, or Kyle saying "cow." Mom. Mom.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's still funny.
Yeah, I found him very charming, weirdly, in this movie. I'm like, oh, Cartman, you are just an asshole. Like, yeah, that's your role. You're just an asshole. Because I know when I watched it, I think Cartman just gets he's a lot. He's a lot, and he's just like, oh, we just need him to be an absolute monster, which is very entertaining, but it can be wear on you a bit. But I thought the movie paced it well, and he was in it enough. And there was plenty of moments where he was just not gabbing to us about something or other. Just like nice moments of Stan and Kyle getting things to do.
Yeah, they earlier on, I think, and in this film, they play him more as like the dumb friend who's obviously also very offensive. And I like that his little arc was that, he was being like forcefully censored.
And then he uses it as powers to take down Saddam Hussein.
Yeah,
Very relatable.
His final triumph is him being able to say all of the swear words, like Barbara Streisand.
Oh man. So what do you want to talk about? What were some things about this movie that really hit well for you?
Yeah, I knew going in that, like, the film establishes all of its elements really well, but just seeing it in execution was just a real joy. Listening to that first song and seeing all of the elements be introduced, like, oh, here we go. Characters and their mum. You've got, like, the little news footage saying, like, Saddam Hussein's died. There's even a joke there about how that little news footage was sponsored by this snack, and later on that snack is sponsoring, like, the horrible news of the war starting. You even have a line where Kenny's mum tells him, like, oh, you're not going to church, you're going to have to answer to Satan. And it's like, yeah, that's his story for the film. Really good, tight writing, setup, and payoff throughout the film.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. It's something that you could easily overlook because it's a dumb comedy. It's being outrageous and offensive, but they aren't slouches when it comes to writing in the story and the structure and for the formulation of jokes. It's not just low random humor. Even when you cut to Satan and Saddam and all that, it's set up. As you said, there are these little moments with set up, and even their characters, their relationship, it keeps being like explored more and more and more as we get their scenes together, and it's very compelling, even though this is a cartoon with terrible animation, but they're aware of it. Like, they lean into that. They make that joke about, like, oh, the Terrence and Phillip and the bad animation, and then they themselves walk in that
Yeah, they
shitty
walk
way.
for like 4 seconds and they're doing the South Park TV show style.
and you can't help but be enamored with it because they're not being lazy, but they are showing off like this scrappy nature to them. Like, these were filmmakers, storytellers, writers that started off doing something like Cannibal the Musical, where did they have the budget? No. Did they have the means? Not really, but they had the drive and the determination to make that musical. And part of why that musical, and South Park as well, is still like endures or is loved is because it has that, we just gave it our all and put it in there, like, quality. Like, you like the fact that the characters are rude and crude, and the animation is crude as well, and like the songs are surprisingly well done, but there's also like a childish quality to the songs, like almost like a playground sing-along nature to a lot of the songs, even though you could say, oh, there's actually a lot of Gilbert and Sullivan in this. It's like, yeah, but it's also like a level of like you can hear kids singing this at a playground at each other type thing, which even goes to the movie's point of like they see a movie and then they infect the playground or the school with what they learned from the movie.
Yeah, before class starts, they're singing Uncle Fucker together because they just really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's honestly, you said before about how Book of Mormon is unironically just one of the greatest musicals. This movie musical is honestly really good too. It's not throwaway. There are some songs in this film where it does feel a little bit more random, but there is drive put there, like the What Would Brian Boitano Do?
Mm-hmm.
It's like people these days who hadn't heard, weren't into figure skating, something might not know who that is, but you get that these characters really like that guy.
Mm-hmm.
They've even tried bringing him up earlier in the film, like, what would he do in this situation? And then they have this really upbeat song about how, this is a great hero, he would just solve everything, and now we're going to do that too. And it feels like, oh yeah, we as adults, we don't necessarily understand everything that younger people like, but you see there that they are very passionate about the things that they like, and it will drive them. It
is an amazing little gag too. Like, that is one of the very few things that they as a group agree on. Because even even the Terrence Phillip movie, Cartman can't help but be a contrarian. He's the one that brings up like, it was okay, that type of thing. Or, oh, who needs to see it? It's probably going to be bad. Like, he is, the shit stirrer. But this one figure skater, they all agree and they all join in on this song, and they're all like, yeah, this is what we're going to rally behind. Absolutely amazing stuff. I just a big smile on my face with that.
I think that was a reference to like one of the first shorts they ever made of South Park, where there was like 2 shorts that they made, and that was like distributed online, and that's like where they got their start. And that when Brian Dennehy shows up and he goes, bye, I think that was what Brian Boitano said in that short.
Oh, really?
So it was like a little reference. I think that it was the case.
Oh, that's good. They yeah, there is a weird sincerity here, even though they're being irreverent. Because you can tell, like, the topic means something to them, like censorship. How do you work with it and against it? And do we need it at all? And the film isn't providing answers to a lot of those things, but it is like poking fun.
Yeah.
And just saying, censorship will inevitably lead to Satan. Like, that's what it is.
It's trying to shine a light on, make sure you have your priorities straight. Make sure you're going for the right things.
Even Roger Ebert, when he did his review, he gave a somewhat positive review to this film.
Okay.
And he even said in his review that this film is only an R rating and not an NC-17 because it's a cartoon. And he's like, he probably got away with it because it's a cartoon. And then he said, and that seems a bit unfair. I think we need to start questioning the censorship board about that. Like, and it's true. It's like, why is that a different thing?
Even after the film came out, because I think we mentioned it last time, this film got nominated for Best Original Song for Blame Canada. And that means that they had to perform that song at the Oscars. And I was reading, there was some quotes from Mark Shaman, one of the writers for a lot of the songs in this film, about how, they needed to censor some things in that. And he brought up like the irony of, censoring a song from a movie that's, about censorship, talking about how censorship is wrong.
I just like reading about the weird politics of the Oscars and songs. Big one, obviously, is Rainbow Connection not being performed live at the Oscars because it would be too silly back then for a Muppet to sing. Nowadays, they would never hesitate to have the Muppets. Nowadays, I haven't even looked up. Has Kermit ever been at the Oscars to open something? I wouldn't be surprised or have some appearance.
Woody and Buzz did at one point.
That's what I mean.
Why not?
That's what I mean. Like, we wouldn't hesitate now. But like, that type of thing. The Oscars and swearing is also a weird thing. They still are funny about it. But I think one of the major strengths of the film is the pacing. It just flies by. And it's not even that all the gags are quick fire gags. There's even like little solemn moments, like when Kenny's dead and you just kind of like zoom in on his eye, and then we transcend to space and heaven and all of that. And that's like a really serenely paced bit. And it's not just gag. We get to the funny part, but Kenny's subplot in general, it's very like, he's a character that doesn't speak, where we hear him mumbling, but he
unintelligible.
So you basically got like a silent protagonist, and they utilize that kind of almost like Charlie Chaplin-esque humor to Kenny, where he just is there to like see Satan's abusive relationship and motivate him to get out of it, but like we don't hear a single word of what's happening there. I like that about the movie because Kenny was always fun in the show because he died brutally. That was like the gag, but I don't actually remember much from the show of like making Kenny funny beyond that. I actually struggle now. Like, what does Kenny do?
A lot of the gags were that he's not actually fully unintelligible. If you listen really closely, you can kind of get the cadence of what he's saying. And they use that to get away with saying really inappropriate things.
Yes.
Things that would otherwise be censored. And a lot of sexual stuff. So like, I think, Oh no, he was the one that was talking about the farting. But in the show itself, like he does describe sexual acts sometimes. In a lot of the opening credits stuff, he's talking about like whenever you get to his line in the song, every other season they changed what he's saying. It's like, I like fucking big fat titties. I like fucking big vagina.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's one of those gags where if you're listening out for it, I think as the show goes on though, he's mostly just like another person there. They don't really do too much killing him, but yeah, mostly stuff like that.
This was one where they showed his face.
Yeah.
And he had a voice.
Yeah, that's another thing this movie did a lot. They got a lot of big actors to voice minor roles.
Mm-hmm. Was there anyone in specific for Kenny? Was that
Mike Judge?
Oh yeah, so it was Mike Judge, which big in terms of animation world. Like that's a celebrity for the animation sphere. George Clooney as a random doctor is a different thing entirely.
Yeah, that's the one I always remember.
Yeah, I didn't feel like there was too many celebs in this. Like even Conan O'Brien doesn't voice himself. That's voiced for some reason by Brent Spiner because they love Star Trek, and Brent Spiner's like an impressionist. So.
I think the doctor that made the V-chip was Eric Idle.
Oh yeah, Eric Idle because he's British. Yeah. That was, and they got like I can't remember who it is, but they got someone to do the impression of Winona Ryder, and little details, or like random musicians like Stuart Copeland, who's the drummer for the band The Police.
Yeah,
and he does a lot of scores. He's just like
did Spyro the Dragon.
He's a random American Soldier voice in this, like American Soldier 1.
Yeah.
And it's like random other musicians, like from random things, are just voices of Soldier. And it's like, why did you do that?
And in the credits, it said that Saddam Hussein played himself, so they got him too.
Oh, well, obviously they got him. It was he asked for a high price, and they paid.
They didn't even animate his face. That was just his face.
Who did they lose to at the Oscars? Did they didn't win?
Tarzan.
Oh,
they lost to Phil Collins, and that's their whole thing. It's like we think we're going to lose. We don't mind losing, but please don't let us lose to Phil Collins. And they did.
They did. I also adored anytime they tried to give like the sincere emotional song moments to Stan, just interrupt them because who gives a fuck about the I like a girl. I was like, who cares? No one cares about this. And then obviously undercut it with him vomiting every time on her. And then by the end, she likes it.
Yeah, because he was confident in himself.
He was the clearest gave him advice.
Yeah. Isaac Hayes. We got to hear him again.
He needed more evidence.
Needed more evidence.
That's a reference to the film Flipper, where he was a character that required more evidence than any human being in existence could provide.
Yes, he didn't want that science stuff. He wanted evidence.
He didn't want time, locations, perps. No.
Data.
He wanted evidence. That must be one of the longest complaints of our, like, little gripes of our podcast. It's just that whole
It's one of the early things where, like, we came in with the exact same thought. I'm like, because I think I was even like, Ryan, is the keyword evidence?
But it is actually quite surprising that they didn't get Isaac Hayes to sing more in this movie.
Yeah,
he gets like one at the end.
I almost thought that was like the gag in a way, but it would have been probably more obvious if it was like a recurring thing, like he tries to sing but then he doesn't. Off the podcast a couple of weeks ago, we were, ruminating over the history of the podcast.
Yeah.
And we, for some reason, started talking about whales.
Yeah.
And we were like, how many films have we done that had whales in them? We could only think of like one or two.
Yeah.
And then at the end of this film, during that song, like a whale just comes on and, does like a little splash. I'm like, now we got one more, Ryan.
We got more whale-based movies.
Yeah, more whale-based films for Basketball Presents.
Yep. Basketball
and Basketball and Polish Presents.
No, I think I just said basketball.
No, we said Basketball Powwow, but did we do the Spit and Polish one?
Yeah, Basketball Presents, everyone.
Yeah.
But what else do you want to say about South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut? I feel bad because it's one of those things. It's like it's hard not to say the funny bit was funny.
Yeah, that's true.
And or just compare and contrast to what the show was and where the show now is. Like as its own movie, I do commend the fact that you could come in and watch this on its own and still get at least 90% of the stuff. Like there's obviously character shout outs here, but it's done in a way where it doesn't intrude truly on the plot. It's not like Big Gay Al is so key to the story here that if you hadn't seen Big Gay Al in the show, you would be lost forever.
And
Big Gay Al is just a thing that happens, and I honestly forget about Big Gay Al. Like he's a character, but it's not one that I often draw up to the top. So when he was here, I was like, oh yeah, Big Gay Al.
Yeah, you remember him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people might be confused about what's this Mr. Hat guy all about.
See, it's stuff like that. That's what I mean. That's why I didn't say 95%, like 90%, because there's stuff with Mr. Hat and I do put Big Gay Al kind of in that zone. It's like he is a weirdly placed character. Hey, was it weird that now, since we're talking about like just this, was it weird that the mayor wasn't in this movie, really?
It was kind of weird. She pops up in the crowd shot at the final song. I'm like, oh, I know you.
Because any kind of like political, like over the top, she rides on and she like is I'm surprised that she didn't have a role in this story at all, let alone like lines.
I remember watching the show. She was pretty prominent early on in the show's run because a lot of, issues that come around the town, she would like be sort of like this. Was she like the straight man? Or I remember at some point in the show there is kind of like a bit of a switch where like she is just a bit more generic.
She's more of a huckster.
Yeah, but early on, like I remember she was a lot more prominent in a lot of the conflicts.
But where was the sheriff? Was he in the show by this point?
The sheriff?
Yeah, the cop.
Oh, Officer Bar Brady.
Yeah, Officer Bar Brady.
Yeah, he was in it from the beginning, I'm pretty sure.
Was he in this movie?
Yeah.
I didn't...
In the opening song, when you have the montage of like what's happening around the town and everyone's happy, he like beats someone with the the nightstick, and the guy, they're both happy anyway.
They're both happy.
And then you see him; he's one of the soldiers in the army.
Yes.
He doesn't say anything though.
No, he doesn't. That's what I mean. I need that voice. What's his name? The two that we met. You did the voice.
Jimbo and Ned.
Ned.
Everyone gets like not everyone. Some people get a little moment.
Some people get a little moment. Heck, even Stan's sister got a moment.
Yeah, but the dad's just singing.
I swear Stan's dad speaks in this movie and he asks a question. I swear he does. But I think he's in the army and he's asked. I can't remember if he was in the army or in the movie theater. One of these things, he asked a question. Unsung hero of the movie, one of the funniest characters was the guy who worked at the movie theater. They just keep ignoring him. After some point, they're like, we've had our interactions with you. We will ignore you now.
You mentioned before that they have the games, the two Ubisoft RPGs. He's a character that they recreate a lot of locations from this franchise. And they have the movie theater there, and he's always there. And like, when you run past, he'll just, say lines at you. So, making his presence known. I think you can hit him and fight him.
So, anything else about the film itself?
The film, you brought up earlier that it's hard to just not gush at like things that we found funny, but it's just really solid all around.
Any negatives? We've been very pro it, but it's a film that I wouldn't say I love either. Like I've never loved this like I have loved some South Park episodes and their other film projects like Team America. This is not one that I've loved. I don't know what it is that holds it back. I think, we've said it, but like the swearing factor. But like other than that, I do feel like there's I don't know. It feels harsh. It's like, what about this needs to be a movie rather than like a really good chunky episode or two? Yeah, like that's a part of. I do wonder that, but it's like, they do their best to try and elevate this to a movie, and I'll give them this. It's not like they constantly made South Park movies. They did this.
Well, and I think they had a whole thing about like we're not going to do another movie until like the franchise is done. Mm-hmm. So at most they've done like those streaming service specials, which they call like mini films or something.
Yeah, which they're specials.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the fact that the subtitle choice just being bigger, longer, uncut, dick jokes aside, that kind of is what the film feels like, especially the first half. It did kind of feel like, scene, and all of them had like clear points in progressing the story. I was watching the film this morning, and that whole structure about like, short scenes here that have their purpose. I was thinking of elements later in the film, like, oh yeah, they're going to really have these longer scenes way later in the film. And like the first half of this film, much shorter scenes.
I don't have much else to say about it. I like Saddam Hussein and that they used his actual face for the little cutout. Was this his first appearance in South
I
Park?
think so. I think he's only had like 2. It's like
Yeah.
the movie, and then later on, there's an episode where, in a way, they're kind of following through on the Satan arc,
Mhm.
where he's like got a boyfriend, and the boyfriend's voiced by one of the actors from Cannibal the Musical. I think it's the guy that wanted to have sex. And he's like, you know, tender, gentle, kind, wholesome boyfriend, and then, you know, the energetic, you know, bad boyfriend comes back, and Satan's kind of like torn between like, oh, this one's better for me, but this one excites me,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Oh man, I think a part of too. What I find interesting about South Park, like as a series, it's not enough to actually make me do it. But like one, it's also hard to find properly all of their episodes.
Oh, yeah.
That's annoying.
We're talking about streaming service drama.
Yeah.
This is one of those ones where,
And just DVDs and just
yeah, where on some streaming service, well, the streaming services that they're on, it's like, oh, these episodes are not here because they're, you know, too controversial. Well, it's like, well, then why do you have them at all?
some of them are like the greatest episodes of the show.
I think that's what people are saying. Like, oh, all the best episodes aren't up.
Yeah, Scientology one, and like all these things. But I do wonder how, like, if the show is still like palatable in terms of like, do you understand the like the zeitgeist stuff that they were talking about from a episode from 14, 15, 18 years ago? I do wonder. I haven't gone through, but I just wonder because that's a part of their thing. Is like they are so like, here's an episode about the shake weight, you know, like that type of thing. And I do wonder if just because of their, you know, style of humor, that it still works even if those things are forgotten and long gone by, or not. I don't know. That's the thing I always worry about if I went back to revisit South Park. Well, there'll just be things where you just go, buddy, I don't know what we're talking about now.
After a point, it certainly became a show that was like kind of ripped from the headlines, because there's that mini documentary about the show. It's called like 7 Days to Air. It might have been a smaller number than that, where it's all about
They turn around.
Yeah, how they make episodes like really quickly because, you know, of the limited animation that they normally do. So that means that they can afford to take things that are in the news, you know, the ripped from the headlines kind of episodes, and you know, have commentary about that, satire about that, and also like parody other things. So like the episode that was focused on in that documentary was the Human Centipede, which mixed elements of like, you know, Human Centipede, which was big at the time, and also the terms and conditions for, you know, products that no one ever reads and like the consequences of that. Yeah, I mean, it could still work if you remember what the issues are. Certainly, then it will work a bit better. But there might even just be like, you know, the simple absurdity of it might work. Like with the Human Centipede, it's like, oh, you're gonna be in a human centipede situation because you clicked I agree but didn't read it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's on its own kind of funny.
Of course. And then some of them come back around, like their Pokemon jab about like Pokemon trading cards, and now that's all. I'm not saying it went away, but it's very much back, you know.
Or just still prevalent.
Yeah, stupid shit. But yeah, it's just something I think about with South Park, because I always remember, I can't remember which writer, but there was a commentary track from The Simpsons where it was the episode where Selma married Troy McClure.
Yep.
And it ends with her getting Jub back, her
lizard
iguana, and she sings to it. And it's a reference to Murphy Brown, where Murphy Brown sings to her newborn baby. And the thing was, Murphy Brown was the most successful sitcom on television. It was one of the juggernauts. But it hasn't had the cultural relevance. It hasn't stayed around. And that's its own that's its own can of worms and kettle of fish of why that is. It's very interesting. But the writer said, you know, we never thought for a moment, it never factored into our minds that people wouldn't know Murphy Brown.
Yeah.
So this joke, for 90, like so many viewers of the show, they don't know it's a joke and they take it as a genuine moment. And so we have to, like, they as the Simpsons creators, like, we have to keep that like kind of at bay, like that, like idea of like, well, people still get this a week from now, a year from now, a decade from now, or if they're from another country or something or other. Like, and I think South Park, I wonder if South Park is not aware of that or not, or if they just don't give a shit, or if it actually does work. I don't know. It's one of these things. So it's like Saddam Hussein is obviously a big villainous force, and he was a important figure when this movie came out. But nowadays it's like, oh yeah, Saddam Hussein. Okay, it doesn't feel as like like again, like as it's not topical, of course, but it's still like there's still humor to we brought this dictator and he's Satan's like fuck, like he fucks Satan in the butt and all that. Yeah,
so, certainly, you would think of like, for villainous people from around there would be like Osama bin Laden, and they certainly went hard on him in the show when 9/11 happened.
Oh yes.
Yeah, there's always new people to make fun of. Like for the past
Mel Gibson.
Yeah. Of course, Mel Gibson, the newest person ever. But yeah, they've been writing on making fun of Trump for a while.
Oh, of course.
It just keeps coming back.
I did bring up Mel Gibson because like he became a figure that was insane, and they were like, we've got to do him as a villain force, and he's like one of the three, right? Saddam, Mel, and Trump are the ones where they actually just use their actual faces.
Yeah, the Trump one being very recent as of this recording.
Very recent of this recording. So it's like a special deal, like of how much contempt they have for the person if they're using their actual face for it. Which George Clooney in South Park performance is better? This one or the one where he's the dog? The
temerity of the dog one is much funnier, but the fact that this one actually had like proper acting to do, and he was very dramatic, I'm not going to lose him. And
he was using his ER performance style because he was the doctor on ER.
I think the thing with George Clooney is that I mentioned before, like they made the animations and they were shared online, and that like got them a bit of a following. I think he was one of the big people that really pushed for them, and so that's why you hear him in that early episode as the dog, just to go bow wow wow a couple of times.
Yeah, he's one of the few of like that proper echelon of A-list celebrity that they like to actually get to be there. They're like the more obscure stuff, like let's get Robert Plant from The Cure to be Robert Plant from The Cure. Like that's let's get Stuart Copeland to be a soldier. Like that's what they like to do. Not saying that they don't get celebrity voices on, but like when they did Team America, there was so many celebrities like, oh, I would have actually done the voice for myself, and they're like, yeah, but that's not the point. Like Alec Baldwin, he's like, I would have done the voice for myself. Like, yeah, but it's not as fun, is it? But then with George Clooney, they're like, oh, well, it's George.
Yeah, they killed Alec Baldwin in this one.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Baldwins.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you asked before, like, any negatives. I think this is just in the Cannibal musical territory where it's like, I don't care. I just enjoy sitting down, experiencing
I think I like Cannibal more.
Oh, definitely. Cannibal's my favorite, but
it's also an interesting story.
Yeah, but still, this one works for me in a very similar way to Cannibal. Yeah. But Cannibal's still my top for me.
Oh, man. I love Team America. I know that one.
I need to give that one another chance.
And that one I know people are fraud about because of the politics of that movie and like how that movie kind of is a little bit disingenuous in its politics. And we don't have time about Trey and Matt's politics and what people think it is or what they present it as in their thing. And I don't care. Let me just say this. I'm not American.
Oh, I thought
I'll wash my hands. I'm not American. Because I don't know if you are aware of that, but there's a lot of talk about like how...
I know you're not American.
I know how I'm not American, but you are. Secretly, Bartek's a Polish American, or as they call them over there. What do they call the Poles over there? Polak?
They call them Polacks.
Polacks! We watched Streetcar Named Desire. We know this. Because he was a filthy Polak.
For the record, everyone, in Polish, Polak just means like a male Polish person.
How dare you? How dare you do that, Bartek? The male Polish.
And the female version is also a word for a genre of music.
What?
Polka.
Oh, polka.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. You've done this before. And Polski? Is that...
Polski means Polish.
Exactly.
As in, like, the nationality, not the language. Yep. Oh, wait, no, it is the language as well.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I was going to correct you. Every time I boot up a DVD and it has...
Of course,
Do you remember that era? It's gone away now. Where every DVD had, like, for, like, 50 years before it, it had, like... the black background with the white text and like the big red text up top saying what language.
On DVDs, it's at the end of like after the credits. Like, it was happening on my DVD for this film.
Yeah, sometimes they're at the end. I had some that was before, but not as often. But then you would always see Polski.
Polish people, for those of you that aren't Polish people like any minor bit of representation. So seeing that screen and getting the Polski one is like, yeah, finally.
Unless it's when they do a Polish dub of something, then they hate that representation. They want a lector where it's a monotone man narrating over everything. If you represent them with a proper actors doing a dub, they hate that shit.
We want unexpected representation.
And or the normal conformity of what we expect from entertainment when it comes to Polish stuff, which is a lector, not people acting in Polish. Bartek actually got pretty gross with his one. Sorry,
you said acting.
But I still recommend South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. It feels just like it just feels wrong to say, oh, it's quaint. It's char. Like, I don't know. Like, I know it sounds silly, but it's like, oh, yeah, I'll show this to a kid.
The second, maybe.
I would.
The second song in the end credits kind of, sums it up in a way. It's this like incredibly, well sung song. But it has immature lyrics like life is kind of gay, but it don't need to be that way in the eyes of a child. It's like, oh, you've got the elements of childhood, but also, the inappropriateness of calling something gay.
I did miss the Primus theme song though.
Yeah, no Primus. I didn't even think of that.
I don't know. They didn't keep Primus around for all of it because the South Park theme song gets remixed so much. But it's like
the vocals are still there.
Yeah, but it's all switched up. Like, yeah, the vocals, but Primus has their plucky sound.
Yeah.
But no Primus. That's okay. They got Stuart Copeland instead from The Police. Fun fact, he's the only American band member of The Police. The rest are British.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how he got involved, but he is. He's in there. He's the only American. And Stuart Copeland, fun Babylon 5 fact, Stuart Copeland provided the original score to the TV movie pilot of Babylon 5, The Gathering. And it was considered and he wasn't available. They didn't get him to do the TV series. And then after the TV series became its own thing and they recut and re-edited and re-released the pilot movie, they just used the music from the composer Christopher Franke, who's a musician who's in many bands himself. So they were like, and the Stuart Copeland music for B5 fans is divisive because many people think it's very cheesy, very like 80s rock and roll. I genuinely like it. For what The Gathering is, it matches. So it sounds like a smuggler's video, like a smuggler adventure game music soundtrack.
So was it unused?
No, it was used.
Okay.
But then the TV movie pilot got re-edited when the show got going and they added in scenes that were cut out and took out scenes. So the one you watched was the edited TNT cuts because that's the one that the creator of the show says is the best one. It is the better cut of the movie. It's just tighter, but It doesn't have the Stuart Copeland soundtrack, which I genuinely enjoy because it sounds like you have just booted up an adventure game where you're going into a smuggler's cove.
Well, look, this. I grew up playing the Spyro the Dragon games, and the music in that is great, and he did that there. So, hearing that there's like some Stuart Copeland Babylon 5 tracks, like I'm curious to have a listen.
Well, that is it. I am now going to recommend the next film we're doing on Basketball Presents Basketball Powwow.
A Conan O'Brien film, which we forgot to talk about in the episode.
Yeah, do you want to mention this?
Okay, jumping back. When I walked in here, Ryan was reminding me how last episode I said that my recommendation has a relation to the film that we watched, storytelling. And it was that a character in that film was wearing a shirt that had Kenny on it. And then Ryan brought up as I walked in, I think I was literally still at the front door. You were talking to your sister over the phone and talking about how Conan O'Brien is a character in this film, but he was also in storytelling, the last film
as
that
himself.
we covered. Yeah.
Well, in this one, he's just a character.
And so I could have had that as be the connection too. And so Ryan felt pressured to see if he should maybe recommend a film following some sort of connection.
Or, no, specifically, I was like, I have to find a movie with Conan O'Brien in it, preferably as himself, which is an evil task to do to me, and I did not find one. I'm sorry. I'm choosing a movie that does not have Conan O'Brien.
So
I know, I'm
you
disappointed.
could have still just looked for a connection of like Kenny, but again, we've already done Snow Day.
You know what's insane? I'm now looking at his filmography. He was in Bewitched.
The movie?
Yeah.
Oh, we've done
himself.
that. We did on Unappreciated Basketball.
Unappreciated Basketball. He was in Pootie Tang again.
Oh.
Yeah,
we also did it on Unappreciated Basketball.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? I'm now looking as like we've done so many movies that have Conan in it. Now we've done too many, but
we need to do a Detective Conan film.
He's in the Secret Life of Walter Mitty movie that you like.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's in that as himself.
Okay.
So I'm not recommending that. I'm sorry. You know what? Fuck it. I am gonna recommend a Conan O'Brien movie.
Oh.
And I'm going to recommend one.
For the record, listening people, Ryan said that he wasn't doing a connection. I was teasing him.
I'm switching it up because I'm choosing a movie. I have to double check. I don't know if he plays himself in this one, but I'm choosing a movie that I don't know if I like it, but I don't know if you've seen it. Vanilla Sky. Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky. That's it. That's the movie. Vanilla Sky, a film that I think is divisive. I've seen it, and I have opinions on it, but I don't know how I'll feel on a rewatch.
I feel like I heard someone mention this recently. I need to think on where I've been listening.
And I look forward to talking about a Tom... We haven't really done too much Tom Cruise affair on the pod.
Have we heard him in Basketball Powwow?
A Basketball Powwow?
We've done. I mean, we did Night and Day on Unappreciated Basketball. But...
we've never done. I don't think we've really done much of the cruise outside of that. I would say we haven't done. It is actually shocking that neither of us have chosen something like. We need to do more Austin Powers to get there because he was in the third one.
If we got to the third one.
But I was gonna say, like, I'm surprised that neither of us have chosen. He was in Legend.
Right.
So, he was in Legend. So we have done
on Basketball Powwow.
But why am I struggling? The comedy movie where he plays the agent.
Tropic Thunder?
Tropic Thunder. I'm surprised neither of us have ever said Tropic Thunder as a movie to do on this podcast. It just feels like of a certain ilk. But yes, we have had Tom Cruise on the pod, but it's been a while. So everyone, Vanilla Sky. Vanilla Sky, everyone. We'll get to talk next week extensively about if Tom Cruise is actually a great actor and if he is the last movie star. Because that's the thing. Did you know that's the thing people keep saying now? That Tom Cruise is the last movie star of Hollywood movie stars. Meanwhile, Brad Pitt exists. But he makes different types of movies. You see, Tom Cruise, he makes blockbusters.
Oh, okay.
He's a movie star.
Tom Cruise makes blockbusters.
He's the Hollywood Shah Rukh Khan.
Shah Rukh Khan, huh? Am I going to recommend a film with him soon?
I don't know. But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, remember to be kind to each other. We are on social medias of Facebook and Twitter. So if you want to follow us, make sure to follow us on there. And if you want to contact us more directly with your thoughts, questions, queries, concerns, and film recommendations, you can do so over at where, Bartek?
So just to give a bit of history behind this email address, we tried to secure basketballpresents@gmail.com, but we couldn't get it. So we had to settle for some...
I got an email from Trey about it. When he bounced back, it actually came from Trey himself and said, "Don't you dare."
Yeah, we had to come up with something else, and I was thinking, like, what's some, I don't know, maybe some Polish reference, and I thought of that line about, like, spit and polish, like, spit and polish a shoe. Like, we do a joke like maybe, he's always spitting, both happen to be polished. So I just went with that for the Gmail. So that's the reason why it's so weird. So the Gmail that you can contact us at is spitandpolished@gmail.com.
There we are. Thank you again for listening, Bartek. A pleasure as always to be talking movies with you. And, I'm glad that this went over well. Like when you recommended it, I was just like, oh yeah. I kind of like raised an eyebrow. I was like, South Park, the movie? I guess so. We'll see how it goes. Like, I went into it, watching it last night, being like, South Park, the movie? And then as soon as I saw the animation again, I'm like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, even then, this episode feels kind of a bit more like one of our more gushy ones. Like, it was just a good time kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah. Anyway, to close off, we have to cover the full ground. So, the mystery basketball and a televisual basketball.
Yes.
I think that's all we
or
have left.
a basketball event. A basketball event.
Yeah. And for that one show that we never released, the Basketball Files.
Where we cover all actors in basketball.
Yes.